Okay, so today we're going to learn how to string this style of chetki. If you watch any of the Russian videos, the auto translate is a little wonky. It calls these shoulder strap chetki, which I actually interpret to mean epaulet. Those, literally straps on the shoulders that, officers in the military wear to put their rank. Um, this looks an awful lot like that. So we're going to keep this one as the reference. Put that kind of up here. And I will restring this one. Um, Now, the way that I string them, they have 22 of these diagonal pieces and 10 of these diamond pieces. Yeah, 10. Had to count. Also, you will notice there is only one entry point for the string. So what happens is you put the string in here, go all the way across, and come up this back side and start stringing these right here. And it takes 4 passes. So from here up to there, from here to there, here to there to there, and then back out that same hole in order to tie it off and melt the ends. So that's what we're going to do today. When I cut one of these, well, I actually like to cut these two center, let's see, get in camera frame, cut these two center strings like so. And then that makes uh, pulling these off really easy, usually. So we'll take out all the old strings, throw those away from off the side. Um, okay, so here we are. We've got our two ends. We have all of our pieces. Now let's talk about string for a second. Um, if you watch the Russian videos, a lot of them, some of them anyway, like this stuff. It's a waxed polyester and it is 0.65 millimeters thick. And what we're going to do is take about 2 meters of that and double it. So about 6 feet and then fold it in half. Also, uh, the Russians like to take fishing line and fuse it together at the end and use it kind of like a needle. I found on Amazon these things, they're called floss threaders. I guess anybody that has ever had braces knows what they are. I didn't, so it was a revelation to me. This is what they look like when they come packaged. And there's like 100 of them for $5 or something. And I'll tell you what, it's well worth the time so that you don't have to fiddle around with the fishing line and trying to melt it and it breaking. It's annoying. So I will use this thread because, like I said, the Russians kind of like it. It's pretty good thread. It does stretch a little bit. So when we get to the end, we're going to crank on it and make it pretty tight, and it will loosen sufficiently very quickly. Um, okay, so let me measure out. Generally, for a close to 6 foot tall man, from hand to hand spread out, spread eagle, is just about your height. So if you're close to 6 feet tall, uh, just pull out a length of this about as long as you can, and you should get close to 6 feet. Um, so I did that, and here's what I've got. 6 feet of this fairly tightly coiled stuff. It it does present a little bit of a problem that it's so twisted. it works its way out pretty quickly, but you do have to be a little bit careful that it will twist as you are putting this together, and it will impose a twist on the chetki itself, which is not optimal. One other thing that I'd like to call your attention to is there's these two small triangular pieces. One goes on each end at the end of a row. So I'll show you that as we get to it and call your attention to it. For now, I'll put those over to the side so I know where they are. Um, so here we go. Let me thread the floss threader. I like to just put a double overhand knot as a stopper in here. Um, so remind myself to keep the camera frame. So there's my stopper knot. Uh, and I will thread that into my hole here. It kind of helps to bend these the floss threader a little bit so that it goes up the hole a little bit easier. When I designed these in the 3D design program, I made them so that they're very specific to sides and ends. You cannot use two of these and expect it to work properly. Um, what actually it looks like is the hole goes from here up to there and out, and this one is just a little U right there. So these two here don't connect to there. Um, Similarly, on this one that does not have the end hole, it is a U and a U. They don't connect on the bottom. So they're not interchangeable. You have to print two of them. All right, so here we go. Stick that in there. And if you're fairly lucky, you'll get that to come out the end like so and pull it through most of the way. I find it kind of helps to leave a little bit on the end, and that way um, you don't accidentally over tighten and pull this all the way through to the stopper knot, uh, because then it's hard to get enough slack at the end to tie a knot and tie it off. So at this point, what I usually do is just tie a little loop, like so. This is enough to keep it from pulling through, like that. Okay. And then we can start stringing. So the pattern for this is there's 11 on each side, 11 of these diagonals. Now, you'll notice that there's two holes on the bottom. There's one hole on the top and one hole in the end. Sorry, the camera's not focusing as well as I'd like. Um, so the way we start this is, notice how on our model, here is my thread, tie, knot. So it goes all the way through, and this is the first one I strung. So if we imagine then this hole near this pointy end is the first place that the thread goes through. So we'll do that here. Here's that hole, and the thread goes in there, and I pull it through. You don't necessarily have to pull all of these all the way through to the bottom. I mean, eventually you'll have to, of course, but you don't have to immediately. So what that gives us is it's a completely straight line right here. There, I guess you could thread it other ways and make like do the same thing on the other side and make like an arrowhead design. I've seen a couple of people do that. and it would work just fine. So you're, more than free to do that if you want. It's not how I designed it, but you know, who am I to say what your creativity should be? So I'm going to thread 10 more of those, and I'll do that with the video paused so you don't have to sit through it, because honestly, it's not that exciting. So you can just thread a couple more of these so that you get the idea what it looks like when they're threaded. So here they are, and force them all the way down, and then that's what it looks like. So uh, I'll thread the rest of these and then come back to do the turnaround and start the diamonds. Okay, so I got those 11 strung, and I did it hold up the thing so that it could spin out a little bit. Uh, Also, the way that I string this, it gives you a chetki that's about 20 and a half centimeters long, so 205 millimeters, give or take a bit, which is a pretty good standard measurement. People with really large hands may want to add one more row, which will add about 8 millimeters to the length. So it'll make it about a little under 21 and a half, 21.3, give or take. Um, but if you ever buy from the Russians, I think they'll pretty much standardize at 20.5 and then send you extra beads so that you can make it longer if you want. So I decided that that's the way to go. Also, it was a conscious design choice on my part to mimic the way that the Russians do the stringing. Here in the U.S., well, actually, I guess in Canada, Matt at Around Square made the conscious choice to put the strings all the way through to the back for the more traditional style of chetki. So for this style, which the Russians call classic, instead of coming out the end here, Matt goes all the way through, and the ends come out here. It's a brilliant design. It's wonderful, and I really love Matt's work. It makes it very easy to adjust the tension on the chetki, but I decided consciously to mimic what the Russians do because uh, I'm learning how to make these out of more durable materials, namely billiard balls. And with a billiard ball, uh, you have to drill it a special way in order to get the thread to come out correctly. Now I could drill all the way at the back and loop it and go through and then all the way at the back and loop it. But I didn't want there to be so much thread showing. I wanted that clean look of only that little bit of knot right there and then done with it. So that's why it is the way it is. And in case you ever look at the chetki from a round square, why mine are different from Matt's. Uh, by the way, I would very highly recommend a round square for skill toy uh, manipulatives, as he likes to call them. He does an amazing amount of research and design work on his materials, and the customer service is beyond first rate. I've never experienced anything like it. He's amazing. So, enough with singing the praises there. So now you see, I threaded that little triangular piece as I said I would, and just weirdness on my part. I like to have it facing this way when I do this turnaround. You don't have to. It's just, my own preference. But then I know that I should go into this farthest hole on this side. So I'm going to go into this hole right here. And again, it helps to have your floss threader um, a little bit bent to get it to go around the corner at the bottom, the U-bend. And so when I pull it tight, you can see with the little triangular piece, it all fits nicely together there the way it's supposed to. It's starting to even look a little bit like that one. Now, again, if we look at this one, so here's the turnaround point, and there's the thread goes first into this end piece, into the end, and then into the diamond, right? So it goes first to here and then into here. You can't see what I'm saying. So hopefully it's clearer on the video than it is on my monitor screen. So it goes first into this one and then into that one. So let's do that. So first through this back end. And you'll notice as you're going that every time you do this, you impose about a uh, half twist in the line. Um, and so I try really hard between beads to release the tension. So that goes back into that back end right there. And see, here's that twist that I was talking about, right? So if you kind of help guide it a little bit like that, and then pull the string out and let that twist come out, it's much easier. And again, I will stop the video here in a moment, just so you don't have to sit through this entire process. Hopefully you can see from those couple right there how that works. The rest of them are exactly like that. Okay, so here we are at the end of this row. I'm just going to thread this last one and then we'll do the turnaround. So thread that through there, through the back of this diagonal one here, like so. And then we go through this hole right here. So that hole right there, and it will come up in this hole right here, like so. And I'll go ahead and pull that through. All right, so this is what we've got. So at this point now, it's time to start threading these other diagonals and incorporating them with the diamond shapes. And once again, if we go back to our model, we have so here's the thread in. So we've gone up here, we've gone all the way through here, and now we're going to start with this. So you'll notice once again that from the end piece, we thread the diagonal first. And you'll notice the first place it goes is right here, which is on the bottom. And I think of it kind of as the foot, but it's the bottom, right? So let's do that. I take one of these, and so here's that bottom. If you get a little bit crazy and go into this back hole here, it's fine. It will just look a little backwards. So if we try that first, just to show what it looks like. Um, when you thread it through the diamond piece, like so. It's correct. And the reason it's correct is because when I showed you the model, I was on the wrong side. We started over here because the string went all the way through. And then we're threading this one, which starts at the base there. Ah, see, I can make mistakes. So we thread that and then go through the diamond and then just repeat that pattern. And again, it will twist the string a little bit, so it's a good idea to pull it out and untwist it. I'll pause here again. Okay, here we are at the end of this row. I have one more diamond to string, and then we'll do the turnaround. So I string through here. Sorry, gotta keep that in frame. Keep forgetting. And through the base here, like so. Okay, and now we'll go through. Um, let's see here. We'll go through this hole right here, and it will come out that hole there. And again, this is a place where it's really good to have a little bit of the bend in that floss threader. Makes this process a lot easier. Okay, so we go through like that. All right, now let's look at the model real quick again. So here's our model, and you see we started through there, we came up through here, we went down there, and now we're just about ready to start with this one right here. And so you'll notice it goes through the back of the piece, through the bottom, and then into the diagonal, like so. So we'll repeat that pattern over here. So I'm just kind of tightening up a little bit. I noticed a bit of a twist in the string there that I wanted to get rid of. So pull that tight. Get all my loose ends out of the way. And now here. So again, um, we are going to go into the back of the piece. And I'm sorry, that's a little bit dark colored. It's hard to see. All right, so there. We'll go in that part right there. When I was planning out this video, I decided that having the demonstrator be the one that was completely strung would be easier to see than the one that I was actually stringing. Now I'm not sure that was the right idea, but it is what it is. Okay, so I strung through there first and then through the diamond. And you'll notice the pattern that it makes. It's opposite of that one over there. Um, and so the diagonal points this way instead of that way. Right? So we'll do a couple more of those and then I'll pause the video. Right, so through the back and then through a diamond. And I'm giving it a good, tug for the tension whenever I put these in. Not a lot, but enough that it takes as much attention out as I can. All right, let me pause the video. Okay, so here we are again. We've got one more of these diagonals to put in, and then do the turnaround, and then through that whole back section, and then put the diamond in, and then out and tie it off. So anybody that's, a 3D printing expert more than me and wants to comment on this, I'd be really, really interested to find out. Um, the original Russian designs make these perfect squares. So it's really 8 millimeters per side. However, due to something in the 3D printing process, perhaps that bottom layer spreading too much or something, uh, these cubes tend to be a little bit larger than they need to be, and that's what makes this kind of jagged edge here. Um, I haven't quite figured that out. Um, maybe I should investigate making them maybe 1 millimeter smaller and try that. But I wanted to hold true to the Russian design because, as I said, I'm kind of training myself for making these out of durable materials. And so I wanted to have everything as close to the same as I can get it. All right. So we'll put this final one in like so. And again, we'll go through the turnaround here like so. Okay. There we have it. Once again, pull tension kind of tight. And so now all we have to do is go through the top hole here. Um, right, top hole is right there. There we go. That's a little bit better. So go through that top hole all the way down, and we'll be done. And there's nothing saying you can't try to go through multiples at a time. Uh, it kind of depends how bent your floss threader is, whether it'll go through multiples or not. So there I was able to go through three at a time. Yeah, like I said, you won't always be able to do that, but it doesn't matter if you do. So I'll pause again. Okay, so I've threaded all the way through there, as you can see, sort of. I get the tag ends out of the way. And so now I'm going to release this knot. We don't need it anymore. And as I said, the last thing to do is go through this little triangular piece, like so. And then we'll go through that last hole there, and then back out through where the string came in, like so. So you can see that came right out. That's generally the easiest one to put through. Now at this point, it's time to decide how much tension you want. Um, it really plays better with about maybe, oh, say that, this much tension or this much slack in it, maybe a tiny bit more. But as I mentioned, these threads are going to stretch a little bit, and they'll stretch fairly quickly uh, and actually give you that slack. So I like to go ahead and crank down on this pretty hard. Um, and keep in mind that going around and through these turnarounds um, uh, acts a little bit like a buckle, that it adds friction and makes this string harder to pull through. So that's why I was saying to kind of pull up the tension as you're working, because when you get to this point here, it's really, really hard to do that. All you can really do is tension this outside one and this outside one. After that, you're going to need to get some forceps or something like that and start, getting in between them to pull the tension. That's not much fun, really. So, um, again, when I pulled the tension as I was going and cranked down on this a little bit. And now I'm just going to tie a good old-fashioned square knot. Fortunately, with this waxed string, it holds that initial overhand knot pretty well. It, it so if I crank down on that overhand knot, I don't have to worry too much about losing the tension here. And then we go around and through like so, and it's done. So all that's left now is to cut these ends off. And I go ahead and cut them off pretty close there. Since this is 3D printed and I know that the temp on it is much lower than this flame, I try to keep the flame away from the plastic if I can help it. Uh, right. And that should be good enough to hold it in place now. So as you can see, uh, that's about what we've got. The knot, really the knot actually should go in a little bit, but I have to admit my designs are not very good at making a little depression there for the string to ride in. So it's something that I'm working on. I don't quite have it yet. And that's it. Mm. It's all strung and ready to go. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope this helps with learning how to string these. And of course, you're always free to leave comments. Let me know what you think. If you have anything that can help me, I'm always open to help and advice. So thanks a lot and goodbye.